Hey, everybody, I'm John Granato. Mornings on the bench on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5, and that's AJ Hoffman. He's on the Blitz afternoons on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, hit subscribe right now so you get all of our content here on SportsMap HOU. Hey, AJ, we're just past the quarter pole now, and the Astros are looking pretty darn good. It's a good baseball team now, and in the past, we've seen Jeff Luhnow pick up a Verlander. We've seen him pick up a Greinke. You know, is James Click going to make a big move? And if he is, now, first of all, are they going to spend the money on a big move? Because we've seen maybe a little bit more economical, this offseason than they've been in the past, not signing George Springer. And if they do, what would you like to see him get?
I mean, the easy thing to say is, you could use outfield help, certainly. I don't think they still haven't figured out exactly. We've seen some bursts from some guys, but overall the outfield production has been pretty poor. The bullpen is an issue that should be sort of self-fixing as guys start to get healthy again throughout the season. But you also have to account for, Lance McCullers hasn't had his injury yet. That's probably coming soon. So you're going to need maybe an arm or two. But overall, it looks pretty solid right now. I think that if what you said about them being willing to take on money is sort of the big deal, because they don't have what they would end up getting is basically a bad contract. Somebody who's on a good team or a bad team who's a good player, but is not the kind of contract that team's going to want down the road. Verlander was a good example of that. So you don't have to give up a ton of assets, because that's kind of the one thing the Astros are short on.
Well, I don't know that you have anybody. First of all, your outfield production. By outfield production, you mean center field.
Yes.
Because Tucker has been very productive despite the low average, and Brantley.
Right.
So, center field specifically. Secondly, I don't know that there's anyone on this roster you don't have the minor league system that you had before. All the guys that you gave up for Greinke and you gave up for Verlander. I mean, it's depleted now. Forrest Whitley is basically worthless, I think, now. I don't know. I don't know what value he can possibly have when he can't. If he couldn't make the rotation last year, dude can't make the rotation anywhere. You've needed so much pitching help, and he hasn't been there. So I don't know what you have to offer to anybody. There is one guy, Carlos Correa, that you might offer. Since Carlos is coming up on the last year, it doesn't appear like you're going to be able to do a deal with him. It appears, he's not hitting all that. He's still a great fielder. But, if you want to get something in return for Carlos Correa, you might be able to get something as long as somebody can sign him to a long-term deal.
Yeah, that's a possibility. But again, that also boils down to what is Carlos wanting. And if he's wanting, a Lindor-type deal, I don't think that's coming. And it's going to be very difficult for a team to give up assets to get a guy and then have him say, well, yeah, just match Lindor's deal and we're good. I don't think any team's going to be willing to do that. So it boils down to what Carlos is going to want. And it also boils down to, do you want to take him out of your lineup? If you think, is it really worth getting someone in for this stretch run? Is what they're going to do in the playoffs better than what you're going to get from Carlos? To me, this team is in win-now mode. The likelihood that you're going to trade Carlos to a team that is willing, if a team's willing to take on Carlos, they probably don't want to give back a better player, because if they wanted to take on Carlos for the stretch run, they're a competitive team anyway. So it seems difficult to match up a deal for Carlos that would make sense.
Yeah. And you want Carlos Correa. He's a leader. You are telling them, if you get rid of Carlos Correa now, you're telling them we don't want to win now. This is a year that the Astros could win, with Fromber coming back, with Odorizzi, maybe Verlander's even available in September. You never know. This could be, and as well as they're playing right now, they're one of the better teams. I think you send a really bad message to the team if you try to get something for Carlos Correa, especially a guy in the future, not a guy that's going to help you right now.
And I think really I've kind of become resigned to the fact that Carlos isn't going to be here beyond this year. But this year, like you just said, this is a year where you've got a shot. You don't start offloading guys for future assets when you've got a shot to win right now. It doesn't make sense.